So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is an impromptu live stream here on the All of the Winter live stream. This is All of the Winter. Welcome to my show. Let's see if we can get a few more people in here. Let's wait for a few more minutes. And I believe Will Wonks, is on his way. Let's give him a few more minutes to get on the panel. Welcome, everyone. Ooh, Will Wonks is not here yet. What am I going to do now? Well, welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, this is an impromptu live stream. We didn't plan this, and I would like to welcome everybody in the chat. Big E Ulrich Tech is here, and Dr. Pronkzapeto. You guys have seen by now that there is a Filipina out there that is really going after Frank. And I would like you guys to give me a little bit more context here, because all I saw is that she went on Frank's live stream and she was really friendly and was like calling him a friend and thanks for the shout out. And boom, bang, a day or two later, she is going after him and and bashing the shit out of him. And I have seen a couple of you guys over there supporting her, and I think that is good. Maybe you could reach out to her and leave a few comments on her live streams and tell her if she is willing to come on this show. We might even do an interview with her because she seems to be something like a superstar in the making, a Filipina super troll, something like that. And Frank is not very happy about it. So let's see if Will Wonks is here. Not is not yet here. Will, if you see this, I've sent you the link over on FB. A couple of you guys know about the live stream I did yesterday evening on the Baguio Drama Club channel of Eric S. Eric S, of course, American expat, ex-military, married to a Filipina, lives in Baguio, and he is a friend of the late JW, and there is also a family connection there between the two. Um, the wives of JW's wife and Eric's wife are Ilocanos, and Eric is the godfather of two of JW's children. The boy, the son, 7 years old. The daughter is 4 or 5 years old, if memory serves me right. And the youngest daughter is only 6 months old. And some of you listened to it and you heard what I said on there. And I want to give you a little bit more context because this is the reason why I decided to do a live stream with Will Wonks. Will Wonks, another guy who is quite known. He has not been active in the community for a couple of years, but he has been a regular guest on the RRR live streams. And I also did many shows with Will a couple of years ago. We have a Discord group, and you might have heard of it. And Will mentioned that he was kind of disappointed about my live stream with Eric. And I explained to him that the reason why I didn't mention certain things on that live stream is I did it out of respect due to the fact that JW just passed away recently, out of respect for the family of JW. And I felt it's not that easy to find that narrow path between calling out somebody's behavior, in this case, his past behavior, of course, JW's past behavior, and paying or conducting a live stream in a respectful way um, when it comes to his family, right? The children and the wife. And some of you guys had a completely different view. Some of you guys told me they were disappointed. They didn't like it. They thought, Alo, you should have mentioned certain things on that live stream, and therefore we would like to do another live stream. And Wally was one of these guys, and I think he is here now. Let me just check. Please come on, Wally. Click the link, and it will take you directly to the StreamYard studio. And again, JW is a very controversial figure, and you guys know that I used to call him out for various reasons over the last few years, and we had a lot of drama going on during those days, during the RRR days, and Johnny Warrior was actually one of the main targets. Eric, his friend reached out to me and mentioned that Johnny actually planned to mend fences with me and the other RRR guys. Johnny, as you know, came back on the scene and he became more active on YouTube. And he made it clear that he wouldn't want to get involved in the drama again. And Eric mentioned several times on his live stream that Johnny was thinking about reaching out to us via him or others. And I also mentioned on that live stream that Michael Fazio actually contacted JW once, had a short phone conversation with Johnny, and mentioned that he would like to come over and visit Johnny Warrior's dive shop over in Bohol. Johnny immediately recognized the voice and said, "Look, you're always welcome here, but I'm a bit hesitant about all of this because, of course, I do know that you, Michael Fazio, are kind of close to Alo, right?" And a day later, Johnny called him back and told him, "Listen, I was thinking about all of this. You can come over. I'm going to show you around, but I don't want nothing to do with the drama." Okay, Will Wonks is here. I will add him to the live stream. Will Wonks, welcome to the All of the Winter show. How are you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Can you increase the volume of your mic a little bit because I really can't hear you that well.
Let me set my settings up. Let's see the mic, audio. Let's see.
Welcome to the 27 people in the live chat. Again, an impromptu live stream here with Wally Wonks.
Let me get my
I
speaker.
think I hear you. I hear you just fine. How about the guys out there in the live chat? Do you hear Wally loud and clear? Can you give us a short feedback here? Do you hear Wally loud and clear?
Yeah, I can get my headset if you need it.
No, I don't. I don't think. I think it's just fine because I can hear you loud and clear. Just let's make sure that the guys out there also can hear you loud and clear because I think right now it's really perfect. I think you sound great on this live stream here right now on my end. Yeah, watching a PH train wreck says yes. Okay, let's go. Short overview. Let me give you a short breakdown again. Yesterday, I did a live stream about Johnny Warrior with Eric Stang, Popeye, and I saw after the live stream you mentioned you were kind of disappointed about my
Absolutely, absolutely.
performance on there. Please explain us why were you disappointed about that?
Y'all made it out to be that that Johnny Warrior was some kind of saint, and that and I understand you shouldn't like piss on the grave of a person that died, but the truth is Johnny Warrior was a criminal. He was a suspected child molester. He impregnated an underage girl. These are all facts. He was dodging child support and arrest warrant in Oklahoma, and he was trying to bully and threaten people in the community for years. He tried to set up hits on me and multiple people. He wasn't a very good person, and I don't, like I said, this bridge on the water, what he did, but what he did was, and the big tragedy in all this was the seven children he left behind, probably more, that are going to grow up without a father, without any type of child support, many without citizenship, and they're just going to be abandoned, and they're going to be a problem in society, maladjusted problems, maybe just like him, um, criminals, prostitutes, drug addicts. His first daughter, she went through a very rough time because I talked with the mother. She went through a very rough time till she finally got her bearings, and she's doing good now. But no thanks to him and his influence in her younger years. So, and I think the story of Johnny Warrior needs to be a warning to all those who behave as such that they'll not get away with it. That eventually it will come to bite them. And I'm really convinced that his death could have been avoided had he, and he knew he had to go back to the States for an operation. He knew it, but he knew he couldn't go back to the States because there's an arrest warrant still hanging out on his head. And, and, and that probably cost him his life. He had gone back to the States and got his heart operation. He'd probably still be alive today to take care of his 3 young children. And hopefully he would have settled things and got, paid his child support and settled things with his 2 children in Oklahoma. And his other 2 children are grown, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But it's a warning to all those who behave, that think they can go to the Philippines and dodge child support, um, ignore ignore their responsibilities, impregnate women, and just abandon their children. Um, this is wrong, and this is just wrong content. It's illegal content, conduct. And also it's a warning to, and I also was upset that he had his enablers. He had his enablers like Eric and others who spread lies about him, spread lies about his behavior, justified his behavior, um, justified how he acted and how he behaved. Um, yeah, and that's what I was upset about. Is that, the whole tragedy of this is that we kind of lose sight of it. Is that he wasn't a good person, and he left multiple children behind without any child support. Um, he was alleged to had beaten his spouses. The ex-wives who contacted me said that he was a horrible person, that he was abusive to the children, abusive to them. Um, yeah, and that needs to be said. That needs to be said. And also the tragedy. I mean, we can talk about him. He had a lot going for him. He had a lot of good things he did in his life. It wasn't black and white with him. And had he just focused on the good things and done what was right, he could have died a hero. But instead, he died in shame in the Philippines. He had alienated most everybody that ever knew him and supported him, and it's sad. It's really sad, and that's what I wanted. That's the message I wanted to come out.
You mentioned in your statement that his example should be seen as a warning to others. And I saw that you mentioned a couple of names over on Discord. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, there are
As
many.
a warning to whom in particular?
Well, I'll just go back. We have the example of many in the past in the community that have behaved like him, um, that have dodged their responsibilities, that have cheated and swindled Filipino girls. Um, Mike, for example, was one that was known to travel around and exploit young women. He died of a heart attack because he didn't have the finances to go back to the States and get his heart taken care of. People like Jay, who impregnated girls and just leave them behind, and don't pay child support. Um, who else? Other people who come with no money and um, exploit the women there, overage, underage, doesn't make a difference. Um, in my opinion, to those BAE who came over on a missions trip. See, Johnny Warrior was, after he got out of the military, was a respected preacher. He was actually on the 700 Club and had shared about. I think he wanted to start a nonprofit for veterans and help them through their disabilities, uh, with the help of Jesus Christ. And he went over the Philippines on a missions trip and hooked up with underage girls, allegedly underage girls, according to his ex-wife in the court statements. And actually ended up going back there, abandoning his ministry and going back there. We have another one, BAE. He went on a missions trip, Pentecostal, tongue speaking, went on a missions trip and got a bar girl pregnant, and now he's abandoned her, and he blames it on her. You understand divorces and stuff. That's not an issue. The issue is that you impregnate them and leave the children behind, growing up with no parent. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. If the major problem in society is not the Republicans or the Democrats, it's children that grow up without fathers, that grow up without love and support. Um, and they're the ones that grow up to be criminals and problems in society. And that's the sad part. And the enablers that allow people to do this, and those that do this, uh, they're ruining society, and they need to be pointed out. They don't need to be supported. They need, a finger needs to be pointed to them, and they need to be held responsible for their behavior and their activities and their criminality.
I understand. And that's something that somehow upset you yesterday when you were listening to the live stream with Eric Stang.
Yeah, and we've known each other. I mean, we all started out together. I mean, I think Johnny was part of the original RRR crew, and
Yeah.
we all started out together, and um this all came about. I mean, people all understand our background is that um yeah, I was the first one who pointed, they said there's something that doesn't match with Johnny's supposed military record. How could you be in the military 26 years and end up a captain? I mean, that's crazy. If you're in 26 years and the officer ranks, you usually end up as a general or a colonel or whatever, right? Very high up. You don't end up as a captain. So when I challenged that, of course, he didn't like being challenged. He got upset. He did show me his DD 214, and there were some good things on there,
Mhm.
but he refused to show it again, and it wasn't his real name on it. We actually didn't find out his real name until um, he sued. Well, he tried to get a trademark away from another YouTuber, and he listed his real name in the trademark, but his credit card bounced when he tried to pay the trademark fee. He couldn't afford the $300 to pay the trademark fee. So we got his real name, and then found his court documents and found out, there was an arrest warrant. Well, at that time there was an arrest warrant, but he had an ongoing a protective order against him for alleged abuse against his wife and children. He had court ordered sponsored visits that were only that he had to see his children. He wasn't allowed to see them outside court ordered supervision. And these are the type of things that I'm kind of going off on a rant that kind of disturb me. And what also bothered me, Al, you've been pretty hard in the past on him, so I was surprised that you kind of went along with Eric. Um, Eric Eric's lied many times. Eric was the one that originally said that Johnny Warrior was in the Battle of Fallujah, and the National Geographic made a documentary about his heroism. I'm like, how does somebody in the medical corps get a medal for heroism, and there's a shrine to him at the VFW in Baguio. You can confirm Eric said all this, right, Aloe?
Mhm.
Yeah, he claimed there was a shrine at the VFW in Baguio to Johnny Warrior about his heroic exploits, and I never understand why people cover for him, and even the people that covered for him, he managed to alienate. And I was surprised. I understand that he's dead. Nothing more, like you said, he doesn't hear this anymore. Um, but the community is full of people like this that are still around, like a Tim K or others. And I don't get involved in the community like I used to. I used to troll a lot, but I don't do much anymore. But
Elaborate a little bit on Team K, because I was actually not really aware that you are rather anti Team K when it comes to your attitude. And I was surprised that you actually mentioned him um, yesterday in the
yeah,
chat.
I mean, I watched his early videos where he showed up with, I don't know, his he impregnated this girl during COVID. She looks like she's barely 18. Maybe she's overage, but it doesn't matter. And then I saw the videos that came out with his son asking, talking about his dad, that his dad just disappeared. I see his fundraising. I see his threats of litigation and all the other issues, and is trying to sell stuff. So to me, he's just a minor vision of JW, in my opinion. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't I don't think he goes. I mean, I don't know if he's dodging his child support or stuff like that, but he's not making that much money. And I know he's claiming, he says he gets disability, and then you see pictures of him training for MMA fights. I mean, come on. So I'm like, which is it? You're disabled or you're not disabled, So I mean, some of the YouTubers are consistent on their disability and their statements, but And you have the other guy that is in Colombia now. He gets disability, and he managed to travel the world and impregnate women. So
You're talking about Black American
yeah, yeah,
expat.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Your
Yeah.
buddy. So
Yeah. Let me say a few words regarding the disappointment you
yeah,
mentioned in my let's call it performance or appearance on Eric's show. And I
yeah,
mentioned that earlier, and I also mentioned it in the Discord chat. Everything you said, and actually, your opinion represents a big group of people, and we just know that. I mean, I had people, and I don't need to name names here, but I had people who came to me and say, "Hey, Alo, I listened to your live stream yesterday, and they expressed a very similar view to yours, the one you just mentioned, right?"
yeah,
And I knew when I was on there on Eric's live stream, I knew that it would be kind of like a balancing act for me because I also mentioned in a very subtle way, in a very mild way on the live stream of Eric that Johnny did horrible things in his past. And I contributed to this campaign. I would call it the anti JW campaign on RRR, but also on my live streams. And you and I, we work together in the background on many of these
yeah,
campaigns to bring awareness to the wider community about Johnny's past and regarding the court documents and so on and so forth, the misrepresentation regarding certain documents that he has obtained, um, and people know about this. And I also mentioned that I am still absolutely convinced that what you and I and others did in this regards is absolutely 100% right. I would go as far as saying I'm very proud of that. I played a role in that anti JW campaign. And when he actually came back on YouTube, I actually warned him indirectly on a live stream where I told him, look, you want to come back on YouTube and you want to stay away from drama, but you're now associating with a couple of guys that I think are trying to steer the pot. They are trying to manipulate him. And I knew for a fact that he was giving them information because certain people were talking about certain videos. And I know that Johnny had the copies of these videos where I was mocking Eric a couple of years ago where I was pretending to use, that sign language where I was like mocking Eric, like, hello, I'm Eric, something
yeah,
like that. And I was wearing a yellow Golden State Warrior t shirt.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, there was a certain blogger who was talking about that, right? And I knew, okay, that must have been coming from JW. And then I said, look, we don't want nothing to do with this anymore. You moved on, we moved on. There's really no reason to do a JW witch hunt again. I think we got the job done. It was something that I have always been very proud of, but I never saw a reason to do a second one because he stayed away from it. And I mentioned earlier that he reached out to Fazio and said, "Hey, I know you're Alo's friend. I don't want nothing to do with this. I moved on. Closed chapter." Right? And I believe Eric when he says that JW, a couple of months before he passed away, and just a few weeks after he came back on YouTube, I believe Eric when he says he, JW, wanted to mend fences with you guys. Because at the end of the day, I felt he must have moved on. It does not mean that he's going to be my friend. It doesn't mean that I'm going to look the other way regarding his fucking past. And I also said it in the chat, in the live in the chat over on Discord. I think he is a terrible person. You and I will have no there's no difference between our opinions regarding this individual.
yeah,
But on that live stream with Eric, knowing that he has family connection There's a family connection between Eric and JW. And knowing that the guy just passed away, my thoughts were, what happens to the kids? What happens to his three kids in the Philippines? What happens to his Filipina wife who pinned high hopes on him in various ways? Did he leave a house, property? Did he get his kids US citizenship?
Nope.
Did he set them up for a future where they actually have something like a future? Did he prepare that? Because he was well aware of his health condition, of his health issues. Did he prepare anything for that? My thoughts were with them. And I found and still find it kind of hard to find that balance between calling him out for his past, because my opinion about that has never changed, but calling him out while respecting the sorrow and the loss of his family in the Philippines. How do you do that? How do you pull that off? And I thought maybe this is not the right place to go on the offensive. Because let me tell you this, we were ready in the background. We were ready. I already edited the fucking videos. All the court documents were ready to put to go out there once again. I have a video right here in my archive. It's called Old Foes Will Meet Again. JW versus the RRR crew 2.0. And you remember when I did that video, Wally Wonks, the Beast, is coming back. And everybody knows when Wally gets on the fucking All of the Winter live stream, JW is going to be featured, right? Just the way you did it. And everybody out there knows and understands that. But then again, I ask you, how do you fucking do that? Because I understand that the people in the background, okay, you know, they chat with us. We chat over there on the Boy Mount Chamber on Discord about Johnny's past, and you have seen what I said. But then I felt, is this live stream with Eric really the right place to piss on a dead man's grave? I'm not defending Johnny's actions, statements in the past years. And the fact, and you know that I know of these emails, even now, that his ex-wives, or at least one ex-wife, she doesn't give a fucking shit about him. She even refused, you know, you reaching out to her and to express your condolences towards her. She basically said, you know
Well,
what,
the other one
condolences
said, the other
are
one,
not needed.
what the other wife said, I'm sure it's hot where he went. And then the other
Exactly.
ex-wife said, I'm pro-life, but for his case, I believed in abortion. So,
Okay, and the reason why they do that is because there are many good reasons for that. Because now a couple of people out there who maybe not understand the context here might just dismiss this and say, you know, ex-wives really don't have anything good to say about their ex-husbands. Nah, not so fast, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, they really suffered a lot. They suffered a lot, and the shit Johnny has pulled is really off the charts. It's fucking bad. And I think that the kids, at least in the US, the ones that he left in the US, are probably in a better situation now because they have suffered from anxiety, from abuse, verbal and physical. It has all been reported in these court documents. And everybody knows it because we were the guys who made those documents available to everybody out there who was paying attention to what was going on. We have been dismissed as liars, as trolls, whatever. And actually, Johnny also came after me, you, and others. And you know that because he had his circles of people trying to mess with our lives.
oh yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the reasons why a certain group down in Cebu, over in Cebu, or up in Cebu, tried to recruit him into their little army to come after me and a couple of other guys, Popeye in this case, and myself. And actually, I felt like Johnny was very careful about that because he knew if I'm going to hook up with these guys, what is Alo going to do? He's going to recruit the RRR boys, and Wally is going to be there, and that fucking site all of a sudden would appear again. You guys know what I'm talking about. All these vlogs would appear all over the internet again. All these documents would appear again, and people would probably contact his business ventures. And I know that that's actually what they did in many cases.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I would never go if he would have been looking for trouble, he would, I would not shy away to go all in again. But I hope
we had discussed
you
well, we had discussed this before when he started getting back on. Like, we should do something? And I'm like, didn't do anything because he's going to self destruct because it's it's like a clock. He self destructs everywhere. I mean, how many businesses did he start? And that's
look.
another
I
thing.
think Wally, I think he just needed this fucking outlet. He needed to be on fucking YouTube. I don't really know why and what for,
Because
because
he
he
was
actually
a
always bought his subs. I mean,
oh,
he embellished the numbers. It's impossible that he got like thousands of views on his channel, and all of a sudden he came back, and all of a sudden he has like 3, 4, 5,000 subs again. And we all knew he was buying the subs. We all knew that he's
well,
buying the views, right?
he he was a narcissist. He loved the attention. I was one time on a show. I mean, so we were all together. So he did this show called The Hemingway, which was boring as whatever, right?
Yeah, the
And
Hemingway hour.
and I was there with Eric, right? And he said it's going to be an hour. And literally, he taught. I think I said one sentence because he never asked me a question. I'll go, okay, whatever. And then Eric chimes in with his, what, Trump's going to run for president. Stupid. Eric just throws in a comment that has nothing to do with what he's talking about. And I think we had like 5 views.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean, he
and
was he was not very entertaining. I
he
mean, that
wasn't
was very
entertainment.
obvious, and he didn't have the personality to really pull it off. Right? He was trying to um, find his role because
Yeah.
after, and I always mention that a couple of times after the army, he somehow fell into a black hole, and so he tried different outlets. He tried to, get into photography, travel
Well,
vlogs,
no, before that, I mean, the dude, the
all kinds of
karate studio,
activities,
karate
outdoor
studio,
adventure,
outdoor ventures. He
and
was going
so
to
on.
sell
Right?
threat intelligence, offer
Yeah,
bodyguard services, real estate,
exactly,
restaurants.
exactly.
The dude, and that's another thing is that
A bar, a barista academy. It's a very long list.
he scammed a lot of people, and I'm convinced his moves were always to stay one step ahead from the authorities, or he screwed someone else over and wanted to avoid getting sued or litigated or somebody coming down and burning his house down. I mean, who moves? He was in Philly, what, 8 years? He must have moved like 20 times. That's crazy.
That's because he tried to hook up with these business owners as a partner, and he was basically offering his social media enterprise in exchange for a stake in these businesses. And that's true for the dive shop up in, I believe, in San Fernando it was. But look, let me get back to point here.
Yeah.
I understand that you guys were disappointed about what I did on that channel because I did not take the chance or didn't use Eric's platform to go on the offensive. And again, I'm asking you, how do you balance these two valid reasons? One, I'm absolutely with you on that. People need to know about him, and people need to use him as a warning, as an example to others. You mentioned BAE, you mentioned Tim K, you mentioned a couple of other names.
Yep.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I
And
think
the and the
90% of
fiddlers
the
and
people
the
in this fucking
enablers.
community by default should be assumed to have a criminal past. Otherwise, they would probably not be in the Philippines. And I'm talking about the vloggers in our community. There's a reason why BAE went to the Philippines. There's a reason why people like Klotfelter or Gibby or Frank or Whoop Whoop or all these other guys and their supporters came to the Philippines at some point in their life. There's a reason for that. I believe you and I talked about the degenerates, the sex pets,
Exactly.
the alcohol and drug addicts, and so on and so forth. But that's a valid reason that you've raised. But the other reason is that I didn't want to bash the guy or call him out for what he did to people is the fact that there is real tragedy in all of this. And I do not know if you understand where I'm coming from regarding his wife in the Philippines and the three kids in the Philippines. And it's extremely tragic if you think about it, because there is a little girl that was born like 6 months
Yeah,
ago.
absolutely,
Um, and
absolutely.
she will never really have a memory of her father. And I'm not looking at his criminal past here. I'm not looking at his many failures in life. I'm looking at it as a father and his kids thing.
But I mean, do his kids?
A
But
family
let me
lost
ask you.
a family lost their father.
True,
Young kids, right? And
true,
that in itself somehow overshadowed the whole live stream.
true. But what do his
That's
kids?
the reason.
But what do his kids in the states remember about him? The court
Yeah.
ordered sponsored visits because he molested one. How about the other one that was involved in
And that
was a
makes it
drug
and
addict?
exactly and that makes it so fucking hard, Will.
And who
That
knows he
makes
wouldn't
it
have done
so
the same
fucking
thing.
hard.
Who knows
Yeah.
he wouldn't have done the same thing with these three had he had more time.
That's something that also crossed my mind. That is something that also has crossed my mind many times. Um, and that actually really shows you what a controversial figure he actually was, because there are people out there who say he was a fucking hero, he was a saint, he was a leader.
Yep.
It's a real loss for the community. And then there are guys on the other side of this very wide spectrum, people like you, partly me, his ex wives, and they speak a very clear language. And that is also part of the Johnny Warrior truth, ladies and gentlemen. Because look, the guy can be very charismatic, and I think he used that to draw people into his circles, right? He did it here on YouTube. He did it here on YouTube. It took us a while to explain to the wider community what kind of person he really was, because people said, no, not him. Uh, They dismissed everything you did, I did, our boys did, a couple of other guys. They dismissed that. It's just hearsay. It's just trolling. They're trying to put down a good man. Up until the day we found out through our informants about who he was, his real name, and up until the day when we came across these court documents, right?
Yep.
And
Oh,
then
every
you,
label.
and it actually, it was Will Wonks here actually called that university and verified with the university, because everybody knows that that's one of the most epic fucking sound bites in this community. Will called the
Yep.
university and they told him he does not have a PhD. And his enablers and supporters used that to this very day. No, he had a PhD. I saw the PhD. It was hanging on his wall. I'm not going to show it anymore. You need to reach out to him by yourself. That
Yep.
was a lie. I think that's very clear. That was a lie.
He might have had. I mean, finish the coursework. He may have had to finish the coursework for his doctorate.
Look,
Who
it
knows?
wouldn't be a big. It would not have been a big deal if he would not have used that PhD as a tool to
Yeah.
mock people, because he basically said, "I have a PhD and you do not have a PhD, so you fucking shut up because you're beneath me because I know my shit. I'm basically verified by a higher institution of learning. I have a PhD, so you just fucking shut up, little man." And
Yeah.
if somebody does that, it's a form of grandstanding and bravado. And then our guys looked into this and then found out, oops, that's not the case. What else is he lying about? And
Yeah.
everybody remembers that, everybody knows about that.
Yeah. Some
But
people
then again,
listen.
I'm not going to turn this into a always flip flopping on the issue because I mentioned it several times on the Eric's live stream, and I'm going to do it on this live stream again. For me, the journey ends here as far as JW is
Yeah,
concerned,
absolutely.
because the guy is dead, he is gone, he's not going to be affected by this anymore. And I think you and I and others, we have to draw a line between us and the other guys. I mentioned that too, because Frank is a guy who is bashing Fazio up to this very day. He shits on him, he pisses on him, he can't let shit go. And that really shows what a vile, sick, in the head motherfucker he really is. I mean, I get it. He didn't like Fazio. There are a lot of people out there who didn't fucking like Fazio. But I asked the question, despite the fact that I'm a troll on here and I stand for chaos and mayhem, and you Wally also don't have really a very good reputation, to be honest, at least not in this community.
I
You're
don't
also one
care.
of the big bad fucking troll beasts. At least that's your image. And yeah, people know about that. But I'm
But you know,
telling you,
honestly, I've
there has
only
to be
trolled.
there has
I've
to be
only
a, there has to
trolled.
be a difference.
Yeah, but I've only honestly really trolled two people: Peter Vanderberg and Ghost JW. The other ones I really don't care about, and the only reason I care about is that they claim to represent some of the stuff that I represent, right? America, God, so forth.
Mhm.
And they misrepresent God. They misrepresent America. They misrepresent the military. I've been called a traitor. Like, you never served your country. You're a Democrat, liberal. That's not true. I'm a conservative. I'm a Christian. I serve my country. I still serve my country, right? I can get a security clearance, unlike some individuals who can't get security clearances anymore. So, and I have a security clearance, so I don't have to worry about, you know, if I'm anti-American. Believe me, the government says I'm American enough to work for them. So,
I understand that. I can confirm that because I also know a little bit something about, because you and I, we have known each other for 6, 7, 8 years now. We have done a lot of live streams together. We have been talking about all kinds of issues regarding this community and other issues over the years, and we had many good conversations on the phone, FB,
yeah.
Discord, on and offline. I would like to
Your,
ask you
your
another
behavior,
question,
that's like
Will.
your behavior kind of reminds me of the reporter that gets Donald Trump alone in the room, right? And refuses to say, "Did you lose the election?" And they refuse to ask that question. Did you lose the election? And Trump will never say, "Yeah, I lost it." He'll always say election fraud, even though it's never been proven. There's no charges. Even Donald himself has privately admitted that he lost the election. Right? You can blame absentee ballot and all this other stuff, but there was no fraud involved. He lost the election. It could have been the way they set it up with the absentee ballots and so forth. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I would also not admit that. I would just find ways around it. I mean, that's just in
Exactly.
my personality. I mean, you know me, based on our many conversations. I will always find
And
a
Eric
way
needs to be
to
asked
to
a question.
somehow get around it.
True. And Eric needs to be asked a question. Why did you enable someone who's abandoned two children and refused to pay child support? And now, and
That's
his
a
dad,
very hard question to answer, Will, and you
and
know
now
it
has
because there is
abandoned two
no
more
fucking
children.
answer to it.
Exactly.
There's really no good answer to it.
And how do you feel about that? You enabled this individual in the community to perpetuate his lies, his behavior, and now you've got to live with it. You claim you're going to be there for his wife and kids. I don't think you'll be there for his wife and kids in 5 years. I don't think you give him one penny to him. So, I
Yeah.
mean, how do you live with yourself? How do you live with yourself that you supported someone that did this to children? That's what I would ask him and anybody else in the community that's doing the same thing, abandoning children or molesting children or chasing children or what they do. So, that,
Eric mentioned that Johnny wanted to mend fences, and I made up my mind a long time ago about this. I would not talk about him anymore, I would have agreed to that. If Johnny would have come to me and said, "Look, I want to mend fences with you. I want to move on from this," and then I'm saying, "Look, I'm not going to talk about you on any of the live streams anymore. I will not bring up your past. Let's move on. Don't talk about me. I will not. I will not talk about you. But we are never going to be friends because there is a certain red line here that has been crossed, and I refer to what I have read in the court documents regarding the family therapist's email to the court. And that for me is a red line. There is no coming back from that. We will never be able to be friends. We will never be on a fucking live stream where we were like buddy buddy and high five and hey, what's up and so on and so forth. That's not going to happen. That's fucking impossible. And the same is true for guys like Bebots, for instance,
Yep.
or certain other peoples, and including Black American expat, for instance. Because you remember, we on RRR predicted that he is going to leave his wife and abandon his kid when he goes over to Colombia.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened.
We predicted Deja would do the
If
same thing.
you exactly, if you look at all these issues and topics that we brought up on RRR on other live streams, if you only look at the facts, you will realize and see that we were always right
We
about
predicted Bebas
all
would go to
these
jail, and he did.
miscreants.
We predicted Bebas
Period.
would go to jail, and he did. We warned him. We said, if you don't stop it, your name is going to be given to the authorities, and you're going to go to jail. And he laughed. You know.
I have a
Love you.
question for you,
Yeah, go on.
Will. My question is, if you could elaborate a little bit more on how Johnny tried to come after you once he realized that you really played a big role in this campaign. I would call it information campaign about JW regarding the court documents. How did he try to come after you and make you pay a price for what you did?
I mean, he really didn't do well. There were threats, not directly by him, but by his proxies, right? He threatened to send this fat guy to hit me with a baseball bat up in Virginia. He threatened to have the motorcycle guys, and I got messages from him to drive past my house in North Carolina and pay me a visit. Um, what else did he do? He threatened to call my employer, uh, which at the time he called the wrong employer, but hey, whatever. He didn't, but somebody did. Um, they're just minor nuisances that he did. And the question is, would I med fences with Johnny Warrior? It really doesn't. I mean, be honest, we had no relationship. I mean, besides, the only conversation I ever had with him is when he plagiarized my family photos. I had a sister. I have a sister-in-law that married an American, and he posted the pictures as his on his website. Great photographer there. And when I called him on it, he apologized and said that he got him through some service and that he was going to, take him down, which he did, right? And that was the only. And besides that, showing my DD-214, I showed him my DD-214, and he showed me his, right? Those were the two conversations I had with him. But had he, it really doesn't matter my relationship with him. Had he, and I told him as a Christian, had he came forth and made it right with his family in the States, paid his child support, paid his back child support, right? Acknowledged that he made mistakes and whatever, and apologize to whoever he needs to apologize to, and then just taking responsibility for his actions and his life, then he would never enter my mind again or my conversations. He wouldn't have been talked about on YouTube. He could run his YouTube channel all day long if he wants to, but he never did that. He's like Trump. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to double down on my lie, and I'm going to keep on going. And, no. Sorry about
So we
that.
would not have mend fences with him if he would have come out and said, "Hey, Will, let's move on. Let's forget
I would
about the
say,
past."
well, then answer your criminal charges in Oklahoma. And after he had done that and paid his debts to society, whatever that entails, then I would have said, sure, you paid your debts to society, you served your punishment, I'm fine with it, right?
I
But
understand.
he was ducking a felony arrest warrant um, in Oklahoma, and he knew it, and he knew it. So, and that's why he couldn't go back to the states to get his heart fixed. He was hiding out here, right? It was just a bench warrant, but yeah, I mean, not paying child support's a big thing. It really is, and he's lucky he wasn't called up on active duty and tried as a military soldier for failure to pay his child support, right? And people say, "Well, you don't know the whole story. She was abusive. She was a druggie and all this other stuff." I know enough from the court documents to know that he was ordered to pay back, and it wasn't even that much child support. And the thing is, he could have afforded to pay it, right? I know he was getting a pension, and it was $500 a month. He couldn't pay his $500 a month child support. Something didn't add up with his finances either. So there was something going on with his finances we don't know about. We probably never will know about. But how could you make as much money as he made in the Philippines and live like he lived? That's another warning. Is don't ignore red flags. When you see people like this, don't ignore the red flags. Right? So don't ignore the fact that they're living like they're living and they're claiming to earn $8,000 a month in retirement. Something doesn't match.
Paolo Manotti has a question for you. Let me
But
read out loud the comment,
yeah,
the question. The question is, Will, did that baseball bat thing actually happen with someone in Richmond?
it happened, but not. Let's say this: it happened, but it wasn't. It was staged, kind of like professional wrestling.
You mentioned earlier that Johnny's example should serve as a warning to certain people.
Yep.
What do you think about Andy Omar, for instance? Because I see Andy is in the chat. Andy is the guy who is known in the community for going after Tim K, for instance, or going after Scotty Regular Guy, who is known in the community to put out content where he features very, very, very young females on his live streams and vlogs. What comes to your mind when you hear of names such as Andy Omar, who
I like it. I
actually
mean,
does part
I'm a
to
sub to
this?
his channel. I like the fact that he went after Rick K. And even though Rick Hay tried to use all type of maneuvering to get his content taken down and his channel striked, he still wasn't able to do that. So I admire him. I think he's doing a good thing. I don't understand what his total end game is. And I think sometimes, I think Steve Montelli questioned him on this, like, well, why does it bother you so much, you know? So that's the only thing is sometimes it's like, why does it bother him so much that he goes after some of these people? I don't know. I don't understand why he's showing the fights in Angela City and stuff. I don't sometimes I don't understand why, but hey, he seems like a nice guy. He seems sincere. So I have nothing respect for somebody to go out and tell the truth. To expose these vloggers like Rike, you know, he has a whole video on how to how to get a Filipina to have anal sex with you and how you can convince her and control her. And I mean, it's disgusting in my opinion. I mean, any human being, when you talk about how you can control another human being, and, make them your slave. What kind of BS is that? So I admire
I agree. I
doing
agree.
that.
Yeah.
I admire him for doing that and go for it, and the Tim K collecting money for charities and spending it. I mean, it's kind of what, when I was in Nevada, I met with another blogger and blogger Joey in Davao, and we were talking about Barry, and there was another individual in the community there. So Barry got like 10 cell phones from different people, and then of course he'd hawk them. I mean, everyone in the community knew what Barry was and what Barry is. I mean, Barry's the survivor, but you know,
What do
the,
you think about the whole Frank versus Barry legal battle Tell me a little bit about that. I want to ask you a few short questions regarding the community because I want to get a better understanding of where you stand on these issues because you have always been known in this community, in our little dirty corner of YouTube, as a very opinionated guy. The Frank versus Barry legal battle. Your thoughts, please.
People don't know how long Frank's been around. I mean, gosh, I was watching him and watching him. He had one of his fights with Dave in 2015, 16, and 17. And then he always found someone in his problems with Kev because he wasn't getting enough super chat. And then eventually, I remember him and Barry were friends. Barry showed up at his house. Remember that famous video where they showed up at the house and they were all buddies and stuff?
I do, yeah. I do.
And then they were friends. And then suddenly, I mean, like I said, I don't spend a whole lot in this genre because I'm busy with life and stuff, right? So I was like, now they're enemies, and now Barry showed a knife, and then I see they're getting together at some bar in Cebu and they're shaking hands, or they got in a fight. I don't know what was going on. And then Barry supposedly brandished a knife, but from the video I couldn't tell he brandished a knife. And he's been sitting in a cell for a year like that. So I'm like, dang, I mean, Frank stirs up trouble wherever, and then his charges in Hawaii. Frank stirs up trouble wherever he goes. It's like it follows him. It's like he can't let go. And the thing about Frank, thing about Frank is, whenever he gets confronted to his face, he wimps out. I remember when Ren from Sentai Seven did multiple interviews with him, and every time he was like a puppy dog, like yeah, nice, yeah, and then goes back on live stream and suddenly starts ranting. His girlfriend's a fat whatever, blah blah blah, and she ate the whole mall food court food up, and I was like, you know, so, so I'm like, how could you sit somebody? How could you sit somebody face to face and then how can you sit somebody face to face and smile and talk with them, and then 2 hours later you're back home like she's a fat pig, noodles slurping down her face, and I'm like, dude, I don't understand you. Can he get along with anybody in this world? I'm surprised.
Actually, he met up with an American guy, American vlogger, um, Mick Fisher. Do you know who Mick Fisher is?
No, I don't.
Mick Fisher is an American guy, probably in his late 50s, mid 50s, based in Cebu, and he went over to Bantayan Island and set up a meeting with the famous Frank of Santa Fe. And Frank is coming out with one vlog and live stream after another, basically telling us, look, I have a social life, I have friends, I am not so bad after all, else people would not travel to my island and wanna meet me, right? And so he's mighty proud of that. And we have a bet going on right now in certain circles because we were like, asking questions such as how long is it going to take for Frank to throw Mick Fisher under the bus? And I stand at around 2 weeks because Frank usually throws everybody under the bus. I mean, sometimes it takes him like 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes him 2 days or 2 weeks, whatever. But usually, this is what happens. He meets with somebody, he's ultra happy about it, and looks at it as some sort of a confirmation of him being a likable guy. He tries very hard to come off as a likable, normal person. And so he uses these visits as a confirmation, right? And then a few days later, these people do something or say something on a live stream, on a vlog, or comment somewhere, and he doesn't approve of that. Then he starts to verbally attack them. He starts to dismiss them, talk down to them, because he really does not have a social life on that island. He does not have any friends on that island. He doesn't have any friends back in the US. Heck, the guy didn't even know that his fucking brother passed away, right? I mean, it
Frank
took him like,
reminds
what,
me.
3 weeks or something to
Well,
find out.
Frank reminds me of the guy in the subway, that's eating out of garbage cans, talking to himself for hours. He's doing the same. He's doing the same thing on YouTube.
Look, the guy just doesn't know what the friendship is really all about. For him, it's a
I mean,
fucking transaction, right?
he's talking to himself for hours on YouTube. I mean, I just see him. I see in my feed, and then you just tune in for 10 seconds. You're like, oh gosh, this guy's talking to himself, And how's he come up with all the content to talk to yourself for 8 hours a day? I mean, this is crazy. And then how many times does he quit YouTube? He quits. I'm quitting YouTube. I mean, I think I can't count it anymore. How many times he's gone off YouTube for like 10 minutes, and then he's
He will
back.
never quit. He will never quit YouTube. Okay, he will never quit YouTube. It's a moment of clarity that he goes through where he
And it's like that
realizes, what
guy
the
eating
fuck
out of the
am I
garbage
doing
can.
here?
It's like the guy
Right?
eating the garbage
What
can.
the fuck am I doing on here? Right? Because he just observes, monitors YouTube. He monitors all the comments. He monitors what you and I and others say
Well,
on their
no, but
respective live streams. That's what he does.
doesn't even
When he
he
gets
doesn't.
up in the morning, that's his first fucking task, and he doesn't stop reading comments, listening through live streams the whole fucking day.
Well, he can't be reading my comments because he blocks me. He blocks everybody. I mean, you say hi to him, he'll
Yeah,
block
but
you.
look, he will still listen to
Oh,
this
okay,
stuff
he
here.
might
Therefore,
listen.
therefore, I wanna push you in the drama here,
Yeah.
into the limelight of YouTube drama. What do you think about their relationship, Frank's relationship to Gilda? What do you think about it? Do you think it's a
Well, back to your
transactional
question with
thing?
Frank and Bama. I mean, okay, good. He doesn't deserve to be in jail for a year. Good God, you got people that kill people that that are out in a year. I mean, whatever. If Frank has anything to do with it, Frank should just drop the charges and let the guy go back to the states. That's my opinion. But and Frank and Gilda, I know Gilda seems like a nice woman. I know people always talk about she's ugly. I think she's very attractive. I think she's good looking. I mean, she must be good looking. She must be good looking if somebody knocked her up 8 times. I mean, come on. I mean, so
Oh, Jesus
I-
Christ!
and I think she's with Frank because I mean, I think it's her meal ticket. That's my opinion. But
It
you
is,
know,
yeah. So it's a transactional thing, in your opinion.
who knows? Maybe Frank does have he has a good radio voice, and he does have some charisma about him. Maybe she finds it. If she can get around the chain
I
smoking, I think
Nah, no, 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 no. Hang on a second. I need to interrupt you right there because I think the reason why he's always on YouTube is because she doesn't fucking comprehend what he is talking about when he comes out with his fucking vitamin 3 vlogs and omega 3 cholesterol level PPAPO bullshit. That's why he thinks
yeah, I love
I
it.
have
I
a
love it. Why
mission.
he gets
I wanna save the world. I wanna make you guys uh, healthier. Listen to me. I got
why he's
something
chain
important
smoking,
to
right?
say.
He's gonna give us health advice why he's chain smoking.
Yeah, but that's because he has fucking mental health issues where he's just fucking nervous all the time. He feels highly uncomfortable around people. I mean, I was told by several people who actually met him in a real life scenario, right? I mean, outside of YouTube, and they told me that he is extremely agitated. He doesn't really enjoy going out there, leaving his house, because that's his safe zone. I mean, he is inside the house and he doesn't want to go somewhere. He doesn't want to really travel to any place. He is in his room and he monitors the internet, YouTube in this case. And
So
then
what are we
he
saying? What
takes
are we saying?
notes and then he comes on here and then he tries to rebuttal everything.
So what do we
That's
say?
his life.
So what do we say in German? Reif wie die Klapsmühle.
Reif für die Klapsmühle, richtig, Will. Ganz genau. Ganz genau.
So I mean yeah. So I don't know. We do these people a disservice by even mentioning them. Be honest with you, because we give attention
No,
to him, and that's what he wants. He wants attention. If everyone just ignored Frank,
yeah, but yeah. But the thing is, if I don't want to ignore him. I need him on that wall, right?
I want
And
you
the
on
reason
that.
why I need him on that fucking wall, or I need him out there, is because he is a constant source of entertainment. He thinks that's a good thing. people laugh about him, not with him. He's not having fun on here. I
I think he's
always
just
said
boring.
that.
That's my opinion. He's just boring. I mean, he's
When
not
he
wasting.
talks about his fucking vitamin pills, I agree. He's very boring. When he talks about his Netflix History Channel docu series and gives us his take on the old Egyptians and nonsense like that, he's extremely boring, right? I agree. He has a good voice. He is a good narrator.
You're gonna listen to. You're
Because
gonna
it's
listen
not
to
it's
a
not it's not
6 hour.
really that easy to come on here and just talk and talk and talk about really nothing. He's a
Well,
good
he
narrator,
does it
right?
6 hour. You're gonna listen to 6 hours of content to find the 5 minutes that are interesting.
No, I just wait until somebody sends me the sound bites, the
Okay.
timestamp, and then I go there and then I listen. And since I know that when I do a show or any of our other guys out there does a show and mentions him, then I know Frank is going live in a day or two and he will try to do a rebuttal. It's exactly the same right now. You and I talk about him, and he will come out with a vlog or a live stream regarding this live stream here. And he will say, Alo is just trying to steer the pot. He is a fucking sociopath anyway. Okay, check mark. Then Will Wonks came on here, one of the biggest fucking predators in the community. He got a lot to say about me, but he doesn't know shit about me. Will Wonks is just a cocksucker. Check mark there. And then he goes on. And then he moves on to the next fucking topic. He won't just let this go. And that's why he's so fucking predictable. He is a constant source for entertainment in this community. And the only thing why people still listen to him are two reasons, actually. People want to get an update about the legal case against Barry Lee Jordan because he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. He wants everybody to know how powerful, how smart he is. He wants everybody in this community to know that he was the guy who put Barry Lee Jordan behind bars, basically saying, don't mess with me. I am the Titan of Bantayan. And the second reason why people watch him is because they are waiting until that fucking guy goes down, and down he will go at some point, whether it's a health care, it's a health issue that will force him to leave the island, where he needs to move closer to Cebu, to the better hospitals, or he might even need to leave the country at some point. And then people will be there and clap their hands and say, this fucking asshole really deserves it. Because you would be surprised about the big number of people who actually hate that motherfucker. They genuinely hate that motherfucker. And I was not even fucking aware of that. We are talking about fucking Bebot's level here almost. They fucking hate his guts. And everybody is waiting out there that somebody is going to teach that little dwarf, that frail little man, a lesson. And people don't really like Barry all that much, but they are rooting for him because they hate Frank. How crazy is that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, but he just it's like a school fight, right? They yell fight, 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 and everyone comes to the fight. They're not interested in the people; they're just interested in the fight. It's like watching two roosters fight. I mean,
But are you
literally,
not interested in the fight? Because I'm not
no.
interested in the
And they
people as
both
well.
have
Are you are you interested in any of these guys' fucking future or well
no,
being or something like that? I mean,
and they both have the intelligence of a rooster. So, I mean,
let,
I mean,
let's let's put it this way: none of them went to Princeton, right? So it's like it's really kind of yeah, it's for entertainment reasons only because people want to find out is Barry going to leave the country? Is he going to get
well,
off
Barry
the
will leave
hook?
the country when he gets out of jail, but he has to, the Philippine system. He has to get through these charges, and they'll be
I
dismissed
I
eventually.
had I had an interesting discussion with a former RRR member just yesterday.
Yeah,
He told me that the other side, Team Jordan, his supporters start to realize that Barry is in a very bad place, and they start to grasp the severity of the situation that he is in. Because a couple of months ago, people just thought, you know what, it can't be that bad. It's just like YouTube talk. There's a fucking nut job over on Bantayan Island. who is trying to, fuck with Barry, and he actually didn't really do anything wrong. It's Barry. Come on, it's
Well,
not a
is
big
this
deal,
Frank's doing?
right?
I mean,
That's
I
what
don't know.
they thought, well, Wally. That's what they thought. Now they realize, wait a second, it's the Philippines. My Western views and assumptions maybe were wrong. Now he is in that fucking system in a third world country, dysfunctional justice system, notoriously slow. And maybe they start to realize, yeah, he is in trouble. Because if Barry can't go home in the next few months, he's going to end up in a Philippines jail. And his health is going to deteriorate. And whatever happens from here on out, he's going to leave, if ever he leaves, as a broken man. There's no coming back from that. The mental health issues that this will cause, the trauma that this will cause. This is a very serious matter. And I think now Team Jordan is trying to do everything they can, because I got information from people in the background. They are trying to work on a plan B here to get that motherfucker out as soon as possible. But I think it's not going to work out. But do you realize the
I
severity of
understand.
this
I
situation?
don't know the whole. I don't know the whole background, but how is Frank responsible for Barry being in jail?
This is what I know. And the guys in the chat, the 50 plus people are listening right now, please correct me. You can comment, ask questions in the live chat. But I give you the short version. Barry didn't pay the visa fees, overstaying alien in the Philippines, problem number one. So they put him in the detention center. The problem is that if you pay your visa fees, uh, you can leave, right?
But how is
But
Frank?
you need a
How is Frank
clearance.
responsible for?
I
But how
will
is
I will
Frank?
get to that point. I will get to that point. That's the second. That's the problem. He needs to pay his visa fees, and then he can leave the country. And it would be something like maybe like similar to the big Kev situation where you are blacklisted. You can petition the Bureau of Immigration to be removed from that blacklist. This is all visa related and related to the fact that he didn't pay his visa fees. The problem is you cannot leave the Philippines if you have a pending criminal case. And this is where Frank comes in. Frank has 5 counts of cyber libel on him. Cyber libel in the Philippines is a serious matter. And before that is not resolved, and the court has to either dismiss this because the prosecutor's office decided that there is probable cause in 5 counts of cyber libel. And as you know, I mentioned the notoriously slow justice system in the Philippines. This is time Barry is losing, right? Because he is in there and they're waiting for the hearings. The process is very slow, but he cannot leave the country until this matter has been resolved. What
Is
does
that
that mean?
related to? Is that related to when he called Frank a pedophile?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Which
so the thing,
Barry,
and the
Barry, I mean,
problem here is, the
Barry's the one.
problem here is, the
But
problem
Barry's
here is if it will take the court like a year or two to decide on that, Barry is going to stay in that fucking detention center for another year or two. If they find him not guilty, Barry is off the hook. He leaves the country, unless somebody will appeal that verdict and then try to drag it out and, you know, pull it to the next level in the court system.
Well, he can't be
Regional
released
trial
from.
court, court of appeals, all the way up to Supreme Court. I don't think that's going to happen. But
Why can't he get?
Barry needs to be found either guilty, then serve his term, his prison term, whatever, or he will be found not guilty and then he can go home. But
Well,
up
why can't
until
he?
that
My question.
happens,
Let
nothing
me
will happen.
interject.
Actually,
Let me interject. Oh,
yeah,
so there's no bail system in the Philippines where he can go on bail while this is being decided, or
there would have been a bit. There would liable actually. What he everything that he has been accused of would be bailable.
yeah.
But this is another question, because the problem is because it's in combination with the overstaying issue, and that's somehow a very it's also unclear to me why is he still in the detention center, because I was told the visa fees apparently have been paid. So this means he would be released from the detention center and then he would bail the 5 counts. He will pay bail for the 5 counts of cyber libel, and then he would just await the results of the process, of the legal process, right? In theory. So, and nobody actually really knows all the details. The question is, did he really pay his visa fees? The question is, does he really have a lawyer that's working on the case? And the third question is, what's the plan? What's really the strategy here? Because Barry himself, based on various sound bites, highly mistrusts the guys that are on here on YouTube claiming that they are his friends and helping him out, that they hired experts, lawyers, and they're petitioning the Bureau of Immigration in Cebu and in Manila, in Tramuros at the headquarters. They are doing things in the background. Barry is going home soon. That's what they said 10 months ago. It was the same story 6 months ago. Now he's there, is in there since more than 12 months, more than a year, and there's still no plan. So you're asking questions, and I do not have the answers to that. I'm just giving you my
Yeah. Follow the money.
giving you some speculations, because I would really like. I mean, let's ask the chat there. Do you guys know why the guy is still in there? Because Wally here raised a very good question. Because all these accusations, charges, they are bailable. Cyber libel is bailable, right? For all the 5 counts.
Yeah,
Why is
the one that started that newspaper, she's been on bail for 10 years. That case where Duterte sued her for that. What's that newspaper? The famous newspaper there in the Philippines.
Philippine Daily Inquirer, Manila Bulletin, Manila
No.
Times?
It was Reina. I think she got a Nobel Peace Prize. Her name is Reina.
Maria Ressa
Exactly,
Rappler.
Maria Ressa.
Yeah.
She's been on bail for 10 years or whatever. So I think she's been convicted in there. Her appeal's up now, and she's still on bail on appeal. So.
A couple of things have already been dropped, and then other charges have been clarified. And there is also there was a court verdict regarding the prescription period of cyber libel, because they used the Department of Justice under Duterte decided that the prescription period would be 10 years, and that's how they
What do you mean
try
prescription?
to.
Is that what you talk about with statute of limitations? So
Exactly. We call it in the news outlets here. They call it the prescription period, that's the statutes of limitation in the U.S. Right? So they said for cyber libel it's 10 years, and now the Supreme Court in a verdict just last year clarified that and said no, it's just 1 year, because for normal libel it's 1 year. The prescription period is 1 year, but for cyber libel it's a different one, a different prescription period. And then they clarified, because it's not a new crime, it's just committed via the internet with the electronic device, for instance. Therefore, it's not a new crime. So the old prescription period for normal libel applies also to cyber libel, which is a part of the Cybercrime Prevention Act. And so it looks good for Maria Ressa. That's probably also because there's a new government in place. It's not the Duterte guys anymore. Maybe that has something to do with it. And there's also international pressure on the Marcos administration. But let's not get into that. I would like to ask the guys in the chat.
Yeah.
Do you guys really understand the problems Barry is facing? Because yes, again, why is he still in jail? Did he pay the visa fees? If yes, he should be out of the detention center, right? And then he would be able to bail for the cyber crimes, and he would just be roaming around somewhere, living his life, doing live streams again, and wait until these hearings are going to take place. Obviously,
I don't think
the case.
I don't think he paid it, because think about it. Tourist visa for what, 6 years that he hasn't paid? That's a lot of money. I got my tourist visa. I went over last summer without my wife, and I had to do the tourist visa thing for a few months, and it wasn't cheap. It was like 2,000 pesos every 60 days or something.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what people are saying.
Think
that's
about
what people
it.
are saying.
So if he has 12,000, so if he had to pay like 12,000 pesos per year, so I mean he's talking about that plus
people were throwing around numbers as high as 250,000 pesos. And I remember that I put out the soundbite where he said a couple of months ago, he said that other guy took all the money and he got like hundreds of thousands of pesos, and he just Barry himself just only got like a very small amount of that money. So I do not know if that's true or not. I can't tell you what's true, what's not true. I just do not know.
Well, he
So I'm
probably owes
asking the
like
question.
5,000. I mean, 5,000 pesos, $5,000 plus lawyer fees. I mean, I once sent Barry $25 for food, like 6, 7 years ago, for food. So the guy didn't have $25 for food, let alone $6,000 to pay his back
Why
visa.
the dude was ordering chili con carne without beans, and his dinner was chili con carne without beans and a couple of Pringle chips, and that was it. So up to this moment, nobody knows if he really has a lawyer, because the lawyer apparently didn't even want to get paid, because he said, okay, I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to draft a letter or a petition. Let's see what happens. But you guys don't need to pay me yet, because let's just try. And to me, that doesn't really sound like a good strategy and like a real lawyer. So who is his lawyer? Are these visa fees paid? Yes or no? And the third question is, if these 5 cases of cyber libel are bailable, and they are, at least that's what Dr. Google tells us, then why is he still in fucking jail?
Well, how much is bail? Bail's pretty expensive. I mean, most people put
I don't,
up.
nah.
Oh, I don't know,
I
Philippines.
mean,
You have bail
for
bonds.
each
You have
count, maybe, I don't know. It's let's speculate. It can't be that fucking much.
well, let's say it's like 10,000 pesos, right? So he doesn't have 10,000 pesos. I mean, all his buddies that talk about how much they care about him, they're not going to come up with 10,000 pesos for him.
Yeah, but look, there are people out there who sent Barry to his campaign, to the Barry Lee Jordan team. They sent thousands of fucking dollars. I mean, people have sent him thousands of fucking dollars. And these thousands of dollars, if this money would have gone to the visa fees, I think by now his fucking visa fees would have been paid. I know of people who wanted to pay the whole 200,000 pesos, I think it was. There was this number going around of 200,000 pesos. And 200,000 pesos, that's really not that much. That's like
It is when you don't have
3,800.
$25. It is when you don't have $25 for
But that's
food.
where the supporters come in. That's where
The
the
supporters,
supporters come in.
come on, they all talk a good game.
No,
They
look,
all,
we have a guy out there, CW, for instance. You guys know who I'm talking about. CW, American guy based in the Middle East. I have seen that guy send in hundreds of fucking dollars. He must have sent Barry thousands of fucking US dollars in the last 12 to 24 months.
no,
And there are others, people who are giving him like $50, $100, $10 here and there. And of course, you know, it's a pretty
I
sum.
don't know. I don't really know. I mean, this is something that no system, no prison system wants to keep you in there. It costs money for them to keep you in there. If they can tell you, if they can, man, it's really hard to go to jail in the U.S. at least. They don't want to stick you in jail. They want to bail you out and all that nice stuff. So something's going on there. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Are they doing
people
something?
think that Whoop Whoop, who is the leader of Team Jordan, actually took the money and gave it to his escort, buying an Apple
Or they think
iPhone
it's a flight risk.
15.
Maybe they think he's like Peter that had a C-130 ready to pick him up in the jungle and take him out.
No, I just find it funny that we are talking about this thing like 12 months already, right? Or for a very long time. And nobody actually really knows the real answers. Again, visa fees paid, yes or no? Is there a lawyer, yes or no? Why is he not out on bail, right? What's the strategy? He doesn't know. He has no fucking idea what's going on. He relies on the people on the outside who are known to be fucking scammers and liars.
Well, like I said, if you can't afford a lawyer, using a public ordered court. I know. Do you have public defenders in the Philippines, or are you just on your own? I don't know how that system works. So
I don't fucking know. I don't think it's good.
And if he
I
doesn't have
don't
a
think
public
it's good.
defender,
I just don't think it's a good strategy to rely on your YouTube friends to get out of a Philippines jail. I think that's a very bad idea.
oh,
But then again, who else is there to support him? Because if he can't rely on his so-called YouTube friends, and we know these guys, these are the guys who visited him on his, I think, on his birthday or on Father's Day. I do not know, but they were live streaming out of that fucking detention center, and they made everybody, or at least tried to make everybody believe that he's going to get out there in a couple of weeks and months. And now you don't hear about that anymore. Nothing,
Frank
nada.
said,
You don't hear anything about that anymore.
yeah, Frank said interesting. I heard him one time on one of his 6 hours. I think I listened to a small soundbite of it where he says, even if I kept Barry in jail for a year, I've won. And he's right. He's won. If he's got Barry in jail for, I mean, a whole year of your life in jail, even if it's minimum security and you can open the whatever, it's 1 year in jail. I don't know about you, but my life would be ruined if I had to spend a year, even in a simple jail, right? Can't see.
There's a guy in the chat, and I would like to read out
Yeah.
loud the comment. He says, "No lawyer, no paid visa fees, no money for bail, nothing." And I'm afraid that might be the truth, ladies and gentlemen. No lawyer,
Oh,
at least no real lawyer, no money to bail, no money to fight back. Welcome to the Philippines justice system, where those who are right but have no money lose, and those who have money but are wrong win. That's the sad truth about this. And now it happens that a white guy from Alabama is getting the Filipino treatment in
yeah.
a Filipino detention center. I mean, in the Philippines justice system.
We had a guy. I say this because you follow the money. I had a guy who was a prison volunteer for years
Yeah.
in Maryland, and we had this one guy, this Puerto Rican guy, didn't speak any English. He was there for 14 months for drunk driving, right? And we kept asking him why he doesn't bail himself out, and he's like, I don't. He goes, I don't have the money. And we explained the concept of a bail bondsman to him, that they take 10% of the bail and they keep it and they let you out. And he's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Why would I pay 10%? So this guy
Yeah.
spent like 16 months in jail. And finally he went to the judge, and the judge said, just plead guilty. I'll sentence you to time served and I'll let you out. And so he
Mm.
said, I'm guilty. I'll plead guilty, Honor. I didn't do it, but I plead guilty. And the judge let him out after 16 months for a driving under the influence charge. That's crazy. And he could have bailed out the first day, but he didn't understand the system. He didn't understand the language. He didn't understand anything. We had to explain to him, listen, just, you know, just do it. Just plead guilty and you can get out now. And he did. But and in that time, his wife had divorced him. It was like Barry lost his girlfriend, right? His wife had divorced him. His family had
Look,
alienated him and everything. 18 months
look,
in jail for a simple
look,
charge.
Will.
Yeah.
Will. The tragedy in this is that there are people out there who are profiting from this situation. They're profiting from the fact that Barry is behind bars because they can turn this into a GoFundMe campaign, free Barry campaign. Send us your money. And there are people who are going to support that because they sympathize with Barry. They think, okay, 1 year, enough is enough. He needs to get out of the country. It's not a good situation anymore. The problem is that those who actually pretend to be his friends and who claim that they are going to help him are not really trustworthy people, because there are several good reasons to believe that they took a very big portion of that money and took it, and that flowed into their own pocket. That went into their own pockets for their escorts, for their lifestyle, for
Yeah, but
their booze.
what goes around comes around. Barry did the exact same thing. Raised money for sane Jews, allegedly. I say allegedly because I don't want the cyber libel charge. Allegedly. I know that Barry raised money for his visa run that never happened. I mean, that's a fact. So Barry, what goes around comes around, and Barry kind of has it coming to him.
That's
I mean,
one way to look at it. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
so I
But
mean,
obviously, there are people out there who are not telling the truth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that
surprise,
leaves us with
surprise.
just that leaves us with speculations because we really do not know what's going on. We
Surprise,
can't tell you
surprise.
what's going on. The fact is, he is behind bars in a detention center.
Yeah.
The hearing, the first hearing, I believe it was April 4, has been uh it didn't happen, right? There was a delay or something.
But I
So
mean, for
we are waiting
Barry,
for another hearing right now. And I'm
but for
sure
Barry, but for Barry, is this much different than how he lived normally? I mean, I remember during COVID, he lived in some store and they would lock him in at night. Remember?
he lived in a fucking piggery or something like that.
He lived in some kind of store and they would lock him in at night. They'd let him sleep there and they'd lock him
Yeah,
in at
one
night.
time one time he rented the pig stall or something like that. Remember that?
So, yeah,
It's like no, honestly, he lived in a pig stall, or how do you call that?
Barry is this much different than how
But
he's
how do
lived
you call that? A pig stall, right?
a pigsty. Yeah.
So I think because there are people out there who think, okay, Barry is in a better place
They're being
than
locked in
prior
a
to the,
store
to the
overnight.
yeah. It's basically the same. I mean, because the place doesn't really look all that bad.
Yeah. So
I
they
mean,
let him
have
go
you seen? Are
outside.
you familiar with? Are you familiar with these vlogs and live streams where he was like live streaming out of the fucking detention center?
Yeah, I know the vlogs, and I watch Ben Doris, the TV Patrol, where they always going in some jail, and you see the chickens running around and the kids and I'm like, that's probably where Barry is, you know. So
When Turner says chili without beans ain't chili, or is it chili with beans? Van Turner, is it chili with beans?
for us, this would be a real sacrifice, but I mean, he hasn't lived much different in the past. I mean, right? So I remember watching Peter Vanderver's video on it. And I wish Barry all the best, and he gets back to the States and gets his feet under him and lives a normal life.
Let's
So
speculate a little bit more. What do you think will happen? Will you and I sit here in a year from now and talk about the same, or will you and I sit on this live stream and say, you know what, Barry went back to Alabama, started a new life, ran for United States senator, and now is going to become.
lead the Trump office down in Alabama.
What do you
So
think? A year from now, 12 months. Let's look into
I
the
think it
future.
probably
12 months from now.
I think it's going to take probably 9 or 10 more months for it to go in front of a judge and then be dismissed, and then maybe about this time next year he'll probably be on his way back. That's my speculation.
My speculation is he will be transferred to a real jail. He will get a very short prison term, and he might leave the Philippines probably in 3 to 4 years after he served his prison term. That's my prediction. And he will probably never return to the Philippines. He will go back to the US as a broken man. That's my prediction.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think
That
it'll
would
be
that
broken,
would
man.
be that would be my prediction. What do you think about Philippine Antiques? Are you familiar with the channel?
No, I'm not. No. Is that the girl that is that Heidi?
Yeah, some say. Yeah. The answer is
Yes.
yes.
Somebody said that who I just seen this clip of her crying, like where somebody said, "You the bitch that threatened to blow up the Walgreens" or something. But I don't know enough about her channel to comment on it. But
Maybe you should familiarize yourself with her content, and then we'll do another show.
yeah.
I would like to
Why
say
is she?
hi.
Why is she so bad? I mean, is she attacking the community? Is she behaving like a?
Well, to give you a short breakdown, she got herself involved in the drama. She is pointing fingers at everyone. Others will call it she is bashing everyone. She's very opinionated. Um,
What drama?
all kinds of drama, lately is that it's the Philly versus Ace, Bachelor, Cool, then Scotty, Andy, Mark Thornton, all the big names in the community, and they are always live streaming, and they claim they're just covering the news, and they're just doing their thing, and they're neutral, and so on and so forth. And then people started to take a closer look and said, you know what, wait a second, you get yourself involved in the drama, you are bashing people, you're also enabling certain people in this community. um, where is your credibility?
That sounds like
Because
Johnny
she
Warren.
also threatened people in the past. She says, I draw a line between the vlogger and his or her family members. You shouldn't go after family members. That's bad, bad, bad. But look who's talking. She was the one who has been accused of threatening Philly and the Philippines, his wife, and apparently also the kids. I mean, that's what we
Well, I mean,
heard.
isn't that what Johnny Warrior kind of did? I mean, the same thing. I mean, he got involved in the drama. Well, first of all, he initiated the drama, and then when somebody looked up his record, then he got
Yeah,
all.
it's basically that's what it is, because I couldn't care less about that channel, and I think
I mean, they
if
are
you just talk
modern.
about, let's say you talk about fucking cell phone reviews and shit like that, then people are going to look up your resume, and then they're going to find out that you are a fucking electronics engineer, something like that. That's going to look good on you. But when you come on here, you get involved in the drama, you know, point fingers at others, you're very opinionated. People are going to think, what about your past? Because she always comes out with this platitude where she says, everybody has skeletons in their closet. Yeah, I get it. And we addressed that situation a couple of days ago together with Popeye and a few other guys. Andy was also on the live stream, and it's a credibility thing. It's a credibility issue
Well, not that.
because
I mean,
you
you're
look.
going to
I
report.
understand that you
You're going
don't
to
want to
let
be
me talk.
you
You're
don't
going
want to
to
be
report.
called out. You don't want
Okay.
to be called out by somebody who did something like that in their past, and now they took all the live streams down, and they want to move on, right? They don't want to talk about this
Of
anymore.
course. So you have a guy that threatened to report you as a terrorist for threatening to blow up the consulate, and
Exactly.
you terrorized two little children back home.
Exactly. And then they take things out of context as well. But actually, if you look at our resume or our background, I have never been in fucking jail. I don't
No,
know about you, Will. If you want to come clean, this is your chance. Have you been in jail?
no.
Did you
Detroit
try to
brought this
fucking?
up. I had one charge on me was failure to appear because I forgot to go to jury duty. So I paid the $50 fine and apologized to the judge, and that's it. That's it. So yeah.
But look, when she says everybody has closets, I mean skeletons in their closet, it's a platitude. It's a very general statement. It's kind of like, hey, we're all a little bit dirty, aren't we? Let's just move on. Let's
We
talk
all
about
walk
the
in
other
Walgreens.
guys, right?
We
Let's
all
not talk
walk into a
about my
Walgreens.
past. Right? I addressed my past already. We did 2 live streams about this. Enough is enough. Now let's talk about the other stuff, right? And now let's take down the live streams and several other vlogs. And everybody who brings it up is going to get blocked. Everybody who leaves a comment regarding that issue is going to get blocked. These comments are going to get deleted. And I get it. People don't want to talk about that. I get it. But the thing is, isn't that the price you are going to pay when you come on here and try to portray yourself as a
Of
moral
course.
authority in the community? People are going to fucking look. If you, Wally, if you will come on here and you will pinpoint at everybody, and people start to dig deeper, and then they find out that at the age of 35 you fucking raped somebody, and then you come on here and then you bash the expats, of course they're going to bring that up, because it's because it doesn't look good, right? It just doesn't. It's just not good. It's just not good. It just takes away
They
your
do that
credibility,
already.
right?
They do that. Those that know me personally, they do that already. They're like, You talk about the sex pets, and you married a woman younger than yourself. Yeah, I do.
Exactly. Well, they want to turn these things around because usually what you hear is because you are just jealous, right? You just because your wife is just super old and I have all these young chicks, and you are just jealous, right? That's the first strategy. That's the first defense mechanism. And
Yeah.
then the second thing is you're just fucking broke because you see I am in the Philippines. I live a 5-star lifestyle. Let's use that.
Let's go to the
And
mall.
you
The
are
next
just fucking
waterfall.
jealous, right?
So yeah, exactly. Well, I
The
mean, but
problem here is, look, the problem here is you can't throw with stones when you are in the glass house, right?
true,
You know
true,
what I mean?
true.
And that's what this is. And then people thought, like, you know what, somebody might want to call her out because all the other bigger channels, they are not going to do that. Why? Because there is an agreement among all the bigger channels. Don't talk shit about the other big channels because we are all in this together, because we all need the AdSense money, the the income, whatever,
Yeah,
because that's what for them it's a fucking business. And they lost their authenticity, credibility, whatever you want to call it. They lost that a very long time ago already. And then that's it. I really personally have nothing against these people. I think the fake bomb thing is kind of hilarious. It's a very nice story.
I
It's
mean, but it was
crazy.
2000. I mean, it
I
was
like it.
2006. I mean, I'm like, okay,
It was a very long time ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. But there's bloggers. Interesting. There's bloggers on there. I'll give Enrique for example. I might not like Enrique, but Enrique stays out of the drama. He just does his shows. He controls the narrative, and Terrence and others, they control the narrative, and that's it. Fazio did it too. He basically controlled the narrative, and
Yeah, but look, there are different options, different strategies to deal with something like that. There are people who are trying to fight back. That's never a good idea. And then there are people who are just trying to do it in the background. Rike did it in the background. You know that. He was like reaching out to
of
people,
course,
telling them, I have a private investigator. Do you know who Andy Omar is? Do you know something about Al of the Winter's background? My private investigator is looking into this. We are working on that. Here's a Google Drive. Please upload all your evidence to that Google Drive. You know
like
that because I think even you got the fucking Google Drive. I
yeah, yeah,
never got the fucking Google Drive, of course, because he reached out to Bobsy and he didn't know that Bobsy is actually one of our guys. He just thought because Bobsy came out with the All of the Winter exposed video, he thought, okay, there must be others out there who fucking hate the Chester. Therefore, I'm going to contact each and every one of them, and we are going to work on the case, and we are going to bring the Chester and Andy Omar and RRR to justice. We are going to put them behind bars or put them in a timeout, whatever that means, right? To
yeah,
bring
yeah.
these trolls to justice.
I mean, people like Eric who there's 2 second clip of his face in the video, and he gets it taken down for he
Yeah,
put
but
my
listen,
face.
Eric succeeded in putting a privacy
Yeah, he does.
complaint on Whoop Whoop's channel because they used Eric's picture with his wife on a live stream.
No, really.
And so he used that to take that live stream down. And
But
I
how
say,
is that
good on
not?
you. Good on you, Eric. Good on you.
But how is that? I mean, that's fair use. I mean, that's fair use. That's not privacy. That's fair use. If you put it out there on public on Facebook, it's fair use.
Look, I
So,
don't give a shit. I just
I mean,
simply don't give a shit. He just accomplished to land the punch and it worked. Good
well,
on
I
you,
mean,
Eric.
RR. Remember, RR got sites taken down because all of us joined together and filed complaints against it. So the automated systems took it down. So
I mean, I just don't understand the whole fucking system, right? Because there's shit on here, like with the Hitler stuff, for instance.
of
When
course,
I upload Hitler speeches, my fucking channel goes down. But when I just look for these Hitler speeches on other channels, on these fucking Japanese or Korean channels, where they come out with the intro before they play the Hitler speech, they would say something along the lines, "Oh, I'm not pro-Nazi, and this is you have to see this in the historic context. The Nazis killed many people. That's bad, bad, bad." Right? We don't support the ideology, and then Hitler starts to fucking speech. If I would do the same, I guarantee you there are 100,000 people out there right now. They would try to put the fucking strike on my channel because I used to name my channel after certain SS divisions like Einsatzgruppe Ost or Martin Dirlewanger or SS Division Florian Geyer. And they would look that up and then they'll say, okay, these are all fucking war criminals. And therefore, they would then run to
Yeah,
YouTube and say, Alo de
I know
Winter is supporting
all about it.
Alo de Winter is supporting fucking Nazi ideology,
I
right?
got
And
one
they
video
they
taken down.
succeeded with these fucking strikes,
Of
with
course.
these harassment complaints.
I got one video taken down for child pornography because it was against JW or whatever, and there was a picture of that famous girl that they got napalm in Vietnam. It won a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever the highest award is, where she's running away with after an attack. So like child porn. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a
The famous Vietnamese girl naked
yeah with
running away from the
napalm, and
rice. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
they got struck because of that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but
So
look, people out there will try to use that to fuck with you, right? Because the YouTube system here
yeah.
really doesn't work. You can abuse it, right? Because everything you say, because when you put out something like a naked body or something, then people could say, okay, you're promoting child pornography. Or when you play a fucking Hitler speech, they can say, okay, that guy's a Nazi, is using this platform for racist ideologies, right? And so everybody somehow tries to fuck with you. By the way, we have a lady in here in the chat, and you know who you are. I received your email. There's a problem with the soundbite because I can't play it. I can't listen to it because I need access to the soundbite itself. The request that you had is if you have an email address, if that particular person you requested info about, if that person has an email address or a phone number, a Gcash, or anything like that, please send it to me. The voice itself will not really help me to find that person unless I am familiar with the voice itself. But I haven't listened to it yet because it's on a Google Drive and I do not have permission to listen to it. So you just want to send me the permission maybe, and in case you have an email address or something else like a real name or something like that, then I can let my guys work on it and maybe they will find information about that person, especially if he is an American guy
Yeah,
and
share Google
you know
Drive.
who you are.
If it's Google Drive, they probably have to do the share permission, allow anyone, or uh, yeah. So
No, it was just a strategy to silence Andy because Andy went after the frog big time, and the frog didn't like it. And then the frog did what many of these other vloggers do: they claim to take legal action, and then they talk about it like, I I can't talk about this right now because my lawyer told me that it is better to keep silent about this, but my private investigator is now looking for Al de Winter and his cohort Andy Omar, and something big is going to happen in the next few days, but I cannot talk about it. It's always the same shit. Like it's always the same shit. First, they say let's not give the trolls what they want because they are trying to grow their channel, right? Then doesn't work out because we already have a huge platform and a lot of people already support us. Then the second thing is, okay, let's fight back. Maybe we have a better strategy. Let's call them out. Let's rally the troop. And then they realize, oh, in this fucking drama game, the trolls are just really, really better than our guys. And then three, when everything else failed, they say, you know what? I have a lawyer now. This is defamation. This is cyberbullying. We are coming after you. In the Philippines, uh, this is a severe crime, right? You will end up in jail for the rest of your life. Why? Because you said something bad against me on YouTube, and that is another form of attempting to silence certain
It's
people in
harassment.
this community.
It's harassment.
It is a
Do
form
you
of it is a
remember?
form of censorship
Do you remember when
and
Van Deaver used
intimidation.
to? Do you remember when Van Deaver used to post like 4 times a day about Henry is Hitler and Henry thinks he's the shit? Remember that, or were you, was that before your time?
No, no,
But
no. I remember that.
and the video had nothing to do with that. But that was always in the title for clickbait. I thought that was funny. And Henry actually got his website taken down. He contacted the ISP and claimed copyright infringement, and
Actually, all these guys are very clever and very good at complaining about something, right? They never talk about the issue. They never talk about the criticism itself. Never, ever is something, anything wrong with their content. They're really stubborn little men that just run to YouTube, to the police, to whatever authority they can find. Maybe they're sops, I do not know. They're extremely thin skinned, extremely sensitive, and often their YouTube fame got to their head because some of them really think that they are some sort of moral authority or subject matter experts when it comes to the Philippines, its people, and its culture. And if you look at it, why would you take fucking dating advice from people who A, look like shit, and B, are with women that are just with them because of the fucking money? It's a transaction. It's a transaction for these people. They are never with the educated type, never with the good type, with somebody who has um comes from a good family. It's always a certain type of women that we see on here, at least in our corner of this community. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
yeah, I had this guy. I was the past 9 months or so. I was in the Philippines. For those that don't know it, but I don't produce a blog going to the mall. But I ran into this guy at the mall that said, "I'm a blogger from New York." This big guy, right? Had this camera with the square in the middle for whatever, and I think he has a YouTube channel with like 50 subs. But he was talking about how he's a big blogger. Seemed like a nice guy, but he looked up. He
Mhm.
said, "I'm my wife," and I looked him up. My Facebook friend him looked him up, and he wasn't even divorced. He runs some kennel club up in New York, and like I said, I said, this is typical. And how many people that I know that have said, "I'm going to go to the Philippines and I'm going to become a blogger full time." I'm like, it's not going to work, right? And it's all the same. And a few slip through the cracks and make a living out of it, like Kyle or whatever, right? But most of them fail miserably, and they give the impression that going to the Philippines and hooking up with a 22-year-old is going to, be paradise, and they're all wrong. And I ran into these guys all the time in the Philippines, right? And you see him too, Al, at the mall. Some old guy, 90 years old, being pushed by, the wife and the 5 kids and the rest of the family, and you know, and they stick him in a corner at Pizza Hut and they pig out. Poor guy's dribbling
Are
down.
you are you familiar with the regular guy, the Canadian
No, I'm
guy?
not. I think I seen once his show, but I don't remember him. He
You're
doesn't
not
know.
familiar with that guy. Mhm.
Is it the same type of scenario where, you're going to retire in the Philippines and you're gonna find this 20?
He's just featuring very young females on
Oh
his
yeah, I think I seen him
channel, and
in Window City.
now he claims that people were calling his mom.
They were calling Henry's mom.
They called his mom pretending to be from the Canadian embassy and told his mom apparently that he just died.
Well, they called Henry's mom, right? I remember I hear in the
They
video
also
with
called Henry's mom.
yeah, they called Henry's mom.
I mean, I know somebody called Henry's mom. I know
I
that
heard
because I was on the other side listening to it.
like
Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. But I was on the other side. I was not the one who called, but I was there when it happened, and I think it was a good move. Um,
yeah.
and if anybody, and I don't even know if it's true. If somebody really called the the,
Well,
the
didn't you send
mother in
postcards?
Canada, right? The
You
mother
sent
in Canada.
postcards to every one of Johnny Warrior's friends, right? And the judge
Let's get let, let's not mix things up here right now. But the
in,
thing
in,
is,
in the court
I
record.
think if that's it's in the court, right? But the thing is, if let me just say this: if anybody out there, whoever you are, if you are the guy who called regular guy's mother in Canada and told her that her son died,
That's
I
pretty
want to give
good.
you a big fat thumbs up because that's the kind of stuff we love over on the Boy Mouth Chamber, at least some of us, because that's exactly how we roll. Good on you, my friend. If you exist, if you are out there, I am proud of you, buddy, because that's the only fucking language these miscreants fucking understand. They complain about their families, they complained about this kind of harassment, but they do not give a shit about the children that they feature on their channels. They do not give a shit about the people that they look at as sex objects because these young females, they're also somebody's
Who
daughter.
was the
They're also,
guy?
they also belong to
Who was the guy?
somebody's family. And you guys don't give a shit about that. The other guys, you don't
Andy
give a shit
Omar
about
went
that
after.
for clickbait and AdSense and
But there was
YouTube
one guy.
views.
Let's see. There was one guy Andy Omar went after, and the guy had a wife, and my wife subscribed to his channel about how great they're living in the Philippines, and he left with one daughter under a cloud of suspicion, and now he's selling water filters in Florida or something, or solar panels in Florida. and his other two, and his wife and his other daughter are still in the Philippines because he applied for a tourist visa, not tourist visa, applied for a spousal visa to get him to the States. But and it turned out one of the older daughters or one of the sisters was selling herself, pictures, selling herself naked online and all this other stuff, and
Look, all these guys have a very shady fucking past.
it was
Look,
crazy. And
every single fucking one of them. And
he
actually, I changed my mind about this. I always said, the majority of people out there are normal, good people. But if you look at this specific community here, I think 9 out of 10 are fucking miscreants.
yeah,
They belong to the
throwing
category of pedophiles, sexual deviants, or they're
throwing
running from the
putting ice
law.
over
They're
their
just
face.
fucked up in their Western home country. Something is wrong with their past. And therefore, I say if somebody new comes on the scene in the Philippines, starts vlogging, uh, always assume, even you don't know anything yet. I know I sound very negative about this. Always assume already by default something is wrong with this guy. Let's try to find out about it. Because if you think, okay, these are just normal people walking around showing you the Philippines and stuff like that, not so fast. I don't think so because there is a pattern here. If you look at our community, even the nicest guys out there, and apparently even the women vloggers right now are threatening to blow up fucking Walgreens. Then we find out that somebody is molesting kids. Then somebody is exploiting a Filipina who has been suffering of cancer. Then there are others who are telling you how to turn your Filipino partner into a submissive sex slave, and so on and so
Yeah,
forth. And all of them have a
wasn't
nice story. They all have good voices. They are very eloquent. I get it. They tell you a good story. They can be very entertaining, but look at what they do. What kind of content they
I
promote
know.
out
And
here.
it wasn't that way 8 years ago. Remember, the first ones we talk about politics. We would talk about socialism and communism, about the merits of serving in the military. Remember those shows? Those
Yes,
are the
yes.
ones I missed. They were fun. We talk about the dollar and economic policy. We weren't talking
Yeah, but
about the
look,
shit.
Wally.
Yeah.
These times are fucking over. I mean, the ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. It's all about fucking lawsuits and defamation now. It's about pedophilia. It's about promoting sex tourism. It has become a very disgusting uh, uh, community.
Yeah, I
It,
know.
it, it turned into fucking shit,
And
right?
that's what turns me off about it, and I just don't really pay too much
No,
attention to
that's
it.
no, that's what draws me to it because
Yeah.
I like throwing shit at people and I'm really good at it. I just fucking love it. I embrace it. That's the
I
reason
like
why we have so many
I like
people
arguing
listening
about
to this right
politics.
now,
Even
Wally. Are
even
you
with
aware of that?
what? Where what?
if you are aware of the fact that there are a lot of people listening to this impromptu live stream right now because maybe they fucking missed you. Maybe you should do more live streams. What do you think
Well,
about that?
let's do one, and we can talk about politics. I remember days when we argued about Johnny Warrior, about those dumb fucks that fought in the Iraq War for under a false premise. I mean, remember how much anger we got when we talked about that? That there was no agent, or there was no yellow cake, and it was all a fraud. And boy, remember how angry they got after that show?
Yeah, you didn't really make a lot of friends during those times. that's that's all I remember,
But it
right? I
wasn't
don't
about
want to
this
get
other
into.
crap. It was about actual. I mean, I'm sure we could get into one about Trump, or the merits of Trump, or against Trump, or Biden, how stupid he is. Yeah, but I mean, but that was engaging. That was fun. That was you came out of it thinking, oh, maybe I don't know something I know now. So, but the sad part is, I mean, that personal attacks came after that because people, how could you believe something like that? You threatened to blow up the embassy. You didn't threaten to blow up the embassy. You just said, what if I, you know,
No, I actually never did. They took it out of context, because I was called a terrorist, right? I was called a guy who is associated to um, Muslim organizations, and then I fucking lost my temper and said, "What the fuck are you talking about? I would be considered a terrorist if I would say this, this, and this. That is terrorism, and not when you come on here and have an opinion about the political issue, a current political issue, and something like that. But it was something that I became famous for almost. Oh, did you hear what Alo just said? Or Alo said something like this or that, and it's very controversial. What a bad guy he is, right? And I think that was back in during the RRR days. And I think,
yeah,
yeah,
well,
we
yeah,
had fun.
Aaron, what's his name? Aaron Wilson, whatever his name was, with the,
There were many guys. There were many guys back then who were very active on the scene, and most of them are not around anymore. But Aaron Wilson, Video Freedom, was one of those guys, and I believe that he actually accidentally doxed himself when he was over in Bangkok, where he was like in a bar, and then he opened his wallet and paid a drink or whatever, and then people zoomed in on his fucking wallet, and there it was, his ID, his fucking, I don't know, Nevada driver's license or something like that. And then they found out about his fucking past and the people that he associated with,
yeah.
and his role in the whole Bebots disaster. And since then, poof, he was gone, right?
Just like
And
JW
others
when,
follow it.
just
Others,
like when
others
JW
follow.
bragged, then JW bragged that his wife got her Patty certification and her birthday was right there, born in 1998. And you're telling everybody you went to the Philippines in 2015 or 2014. Hmm. Had your first kid in 2015. I wonder how old she was then.
He didn't like that. He definitely didn't like that. And that's one of the reasons why he came after you then, because that's the time when your pictures were copied of your Facebook account.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And then people
they're
started
like, you're ugly. Yeah, of course
started
I'm ugly. They're like, you're ugly. Yeah, I'm ugly. You're fat. Yeah, so what? You're telling me something I don't know? I didn't look in the mirror this morning and it didn't say that self. My day's ruined because I'm fat, old, and ugly. Yeah, so what? Shut up. Go find
let
something
me
else.
let me ask you a question here. Do you think that the YouTube community, this community, is representative of what you see on the ground when you go to the Philippines?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Tell me why.
Well, let's say you just go, if you go to the mall, and I just know Mindanao, a little bit of Manila. You go to General Santos, you'll see a bunch of expats sitting there drinking coffee, talking in the morning. All nice people, decent people. They have Filipino wives and they pay their, they do their job as fathers and retirees or whatever they need to do. Or they're running businesses, or, they're associated with the military, the State Department. They're all doing their jobs, living their life just like they would live in any other place. And, that's something that taught me in Germany is that I met a lot of communists, but most people are like, they just want to be left alone. They want to live their lives. And that's how most people are. They don't, and the people on YouTube, they want the attention. They want to spin the false narrative. They want, they want to, come to my channel and see how great this waterfall is. I mean, come on. I go to the mall. These are the cereals at the mall. Which I'll there's a funny story. I went into a Filipino store and I saw cornflakes. It was like 400 pesos for the cornflakes. And then I went to the halal. You know what halal is, right? The halal aisle.
Yeah.
And the same cornflakes were 1,000 pesos. So I took some from the unhalal aisle and I stuck them in halal aisle.
What a fucking rebel you are.
So now they're eating cornflakes that aren't blessed.
Where's that fucking broadside vlog or
Oh, I
broadside?
got it. It's on my
clip,
phone. I
honestly?
got it. We got. I was ready to upload it, and then JW kicked the bucket. So I got it. I'll do it. Yeah. There's a nice
Wally,
restaurant in BGC.
Wally went to my favorite beer place in Bonifacio Global City, Metro Manila, just a couple of weeks ago, and he promised me he's going to send me that clip.
We met up in
And
person. It was awesome.
exactly, and it's a good place. What do you think about the place?
It was kind of crowded. It was nice. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, it's strange that in the Philippines you can pull off that's almost as good as it is in country, but it's really good. I mean,
Look, BGC, Makati, certain places in Ortigas, Eastwood City, the Manila Bay Area, that's the Philippines done right. There is so much potential in this country. I know that some people out there will say, okay, it's a hopeless fucking place, but I have not given up on this fucking country yet because I think there's a lot of potential here. They just need to get their act together. And BGC is the perfect example of how the Philippines could be if they, do it right. And there are
you
other
know what
places
happy
out
was?
there.
I was the past 6 months before then in Jensen, and I went to the best steakhouse called Roland's. You can look up on Google Roland's Steakhouse, the best steakhouse in Jensen. And
Mhm.
I ordered a T-bone steak. Right, that thing was the worst steak I have ever had. I mean, I think they cooked it medium like I liked it, but I mean,
Mhm.
literally, you had to literally saw it for like 10 minutes just to get a piece of meat off of it. It was horrible. And I was told by a few people, yeah, we can't get steaks in the Philippines. They just when they butcher a cow, they just call everything steak. They, they don't.
You should have gone to Wolfgang's Steakhouse. It's just
I heard. I
on
saw.
the other side of Broadside.
Yeah, I was gonna. I saw the. I was like, well, I wonder if their steakhouse is good.
But
So,
when you go there, you are going to meet fucking celebrities and you might become a famous vlogger one day, Will.
oh, so, but typically that's what you expect in the Philippines, a steakhouse. Anything but steak. I mean,
Yeah, but is Jensen still the Philippines?
no, but it is for me because that's where family is, where we settle, where we have
That's
property.
Duterte. That's Duterte land down there.
Well,
And we
actually,
are Marcos. We are Marcos.
Mindanao,
Ilocos Norte, Ilocandia.
and yeah, everybody, you go up north, Angela City, or you go up to Subic Bay. Everyone speaks English. It's like a little America up there. And then you go down to Jensen or some Ikemba or some city down there. It's like you got transported back in time. It's just crazy. So, no. Okay, so I'm
Even
gonna
Van
have.
Turner, even Van Turner here knows Wolfgang's Steakhouse. Not bad, right, Van Turner? Have you been there? What do you think about it? Will, you wanted to say something? Any last thoughts, comments? I think you are going to jump off the panel. Is that correct?
Correct. I gotta go.
Okay. Any last thoughts, comments? Anything
No,
else you want to put
just
out there?
just like I said, that be warned. The enablers, be warned that you're not doing anybody any favors. You're ruining society by supporting derelicts like this. Even if you think you're fighting for a good cause, you're ruining lives. You're ruining children. Um, you're just ruining society if you continue to support people like this. And we shouldn't, as a community, support people like this. And no, don't give them attention. Don't give them the platform to spread their bullshit that they crave. That's all I wanted to say.
When will you come on this show again?
I don't know when you invite me again, maybe in a couple weeks. We'll see. I got to get
Okay, cool.
up to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Will Wonks, for coming on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. We
Thank
will see each other, talk to each other again
you. Okay.
on the Boymouth Chamber Discord
Okay.
server. Thank you very much
Okay.
for coming on, Will.
Thanks. Bye bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Will Wonks. If you enjoyed this live stream, this impromptu live stream about Johnny Warrior, the general community on here, YouTube community, and our chat with Will Wonks, give this live stream a thumbs up. I enjoyed this. Again, we didn't really plan this. Will Wonks came on here because he was a little bit disappointed about my performance over on Baguio Drama Club's live stream of yesterday regarding the passing of JW. And again, I found it rather hard, complicated to find the right balance between telling you about Johnny's past and the mourning wife and the three kids that he leaves behind here in the Philippines. It's a very narrow path, as I mentioned earlier. And so I thought it's not the right platform to piss on a dead man's grave. If you want more live streams, please give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. I wish you a good night wherever you are. Alle de winter out. Good night, everyone.